Yo, what is good, my anime people? What is good, yo? So, we are back at it, and we are getting some new weird stuff popping off in every show we get. But this episode of Fate was especially weird for me because knowing Gilgamesh's character, King Gilgamesh, um, it's funny to see him like actually paying attention to these much smaller people in his life and actually showing that he isn't just somebody who can look, directly past them and actually can treat these people like human beings and stuff like that, even though he is much stronger than them, including being their king and whatnot. So we are in a relatively interesting position when it comes down to just his character. I truly do love Gilgamesh's character and what he's brought from Fate Zero, and just like not so much how he acted and stuff in there, but just his overall presence was ridiculous, right? Like, he was not to be tampered with. He was not to be someone that you push your luck against, stuff like that. And I really did enjoy that aspect of him. So to see him now and to know that he is just, practically doing what I expect him to do, I honestly want to see what people are feeling about, this week's episode. Because, I mean, not only did we see, Gilgamesh and seeing how he treats people very good in his kingdom, and maybe not so great to people that show up, like later on, but he's an amazing person when it comes down to actually paying attention to very, very little details that, most people probably wouldn't even have noticed or even cared to notice, being like kings and stuff like that. So knowing that he actually cares to listen, and he's actually like listening to his men and sending out people and believing everything they're saying, it goes to show you just how much of a king he really is. And he was always, like flexing and, oh, I want to be brought down to a level of your guys' level and stuff like things he would say just made him come off so condescending, and so like feeling himself and stuff like that. So to get the actual person and lifestyle of why he feels that way and why he should be able to feel that way is crazy. Like, these people truly worship him like they're supposed to. Coming down to, if you one of these guys were talking a little bit too much, the mage who saves our main characters this week, come to find out that the person they are being saved by is truly someone they should not be trusting the whole time. And with that information, we see just how quickly things can escalate. Not only just escalate, but how outmatched they sent out these people in this place. Like, Masher is cool and all, but she is not touching anybody here. So I honestly don't know what they expect them to get done, as much as, I guess, meeting these servants and, making a pact with them so they can have some actual chance of surviving in this world. Because as of right now, if 6 of these monsters, these lion things, show up more than once, these mash, all of them, they're getting smashed, right? Like, they're not lasting that long, seeing how they pretty much were outgunned already and almost lost their life to these like monsters. So that's the type of thing that makes me really like interested in the show even more, is just to see what are they going to actually do when it comes down to these, these monsters? Not only these monsters, but these ridiculously strong opponents that they keep coming up against. Not only do they keep coming against new strong opponents, they now have to like go against what's his face, Gilgamesh, because that's just how he runs things. This man said, "Let me see what you guys are about through battle." Like that's it. You gotta fight. Like it's all hands on deck. I mean, unless the person who brought them here, the mage Merlin, actually, steps up and is like, "No, you're not gonna fight them. They're good people. You can trust my word," or something along those lines. Which I kind of doubt at this point, right? Using his powers already to be in a position to like make illusion, like make you imagine you're still having a full-blown battle and actually using powers, but in all reality you're really not doing anything, and he just has you in a genjutsu pretty much. It's safe to say that he has some ridiculous amount of power, and to think that anything outside of him fight, like he can't fight, supposedly he's not really that helpful when it comes down to that aspect. But as a character standpoint, like as an overall helper of this situation that's going down, he is very viable. It's just a point of what does he truly bring to the table, and it's actually not that much, because he just doesn't have that much of like magic or fighting prowess. His job as like in the grand order of what we know him for legends and stuff about is all he does is watch, right? Like he's like the watcher in Marvel. He just witnesses everything, and he should know what comes with the end of the world because he'll be there watching it. So for him, he should have like no real powers, and for Gilgamesh, he can see the future when, there's someone else, I forgot who they named, but he can see like the future. Dang, I just remembered it and I lost it. He can see the future in the past, and that was Solomon's wisdom. Solomon's wisdom can see the past and the future, and King Gilgamesh can see the future. And this man can barely, he just watches everything for all times because he can't die. So he's just literally going to always just be there. So he truly pulls out some cool illusionary thing to make this situation that we're watching be as intense as it was going to be, but because he was there, it never actually happened to a full degree, and we get out scot-free because of it. So it's stuff like this that gives the show so much promise, in my opinion. In the case of like, he could have done practically anything, and the one time we see him tap the ground was the one time it already had started. So he already has made like a pretty cool little mark on the battlefield, and as a character just showing up as for me. And he's one of those characters that is just so forward in the like making stuff happen. He's like, "Oh well, you need to talk to Gilgamesh, and I'm just gonna whisk you away and force you to talk to him right now, even though he's seemingly kind of busy. We'll make sure you just start talking to him right away." I do enjoy the way he is pushing the envelope kind of like that, but at the same time it could turn out to be a bad thing, seeing how Gilgamesh is already ready for combat and trying to rip off some heads. So we'll see how that plays out. Oh my god, that scared the crap out of me. And see where this actually all like leads at the end of the day, because I don't know, I truly do like what I'm seeing with the show, but it's the pacing is kind of weird, right? Like I think these first couple episodes, they can do whatever they want with it, because regardless of what happens, there's still a lot of questions to be asked and to get. So that's why it feels like they can pretty much do whatever they like at this point. But once we get a lot of the answers and we get a more directed approach of what our people are actually supposed to be doing and what they can achieve, I think that will make it a little bit of an easier sell on the pasting, because it feels like they're trying to introduce us to new characters and at the same time show us how powerful these characters are, but then you kind of lose some of that not like that character growth and stuff like that, because they're just trying to show us some more action, which ain't nothing wrong with some action, but we definitely don't know much about this Anne girl, which, I mean, she wasn't going to share the way she is. She's super quiet, and the way she fights, though, the scythe that she has, oh my god, that scythe looks so sick, and it's got chains attached. Just get a scythe, and you already had me, but then you add some chains to it that you control that are also deadly. Man, I was pretty hyped to see all this, and to think that it did not disappoint. Fate has always had these ridiculous, well animated, adapted fights and stuff, but to think that it was going to come out looking this great, if you told me it was going to look absolutely nuts for every single fight, I'd be like, you're lying. That sounds like way too good to be true. But no, seemingly is not too good to be true. Kill him, finish him. And because it's looking as good as it is, I'm just enjoying my time watching it. I mean, it's gonna come and go sooner or later, but as of right now, I'm enjoying it, and I do hope that the animation can stay up this great, because by god, this fight choreography and this look of it was beautiful. Everything about it was super hype. It's already kind of destroyed a lot of shows when it comes down to how their animated fights come out looking, and there's some shows that definitely build up their budget for the end episode or like a bigger fight knowing it's coming, and it felt like this show knows that every single fight is worth that much in their books, and they don't really hold back. So another good episode for this so far. If you guys haven't checked out Shy Lion EX, that man pretty much called it when it came down to how I would feel on a lot of these characters. I really did like Merlin, the guy with the roses and stuff like that, and I really kind of don't care for the main characters, the MASH and the other person, just because they have no real speaking roles in this place, because they're just like the audience. They're just like us when it comes down to going here and seeing what's popping off, is we don't know anything, right? Like, we don't know anything about this world. We haven't gone far enough to be like, yes, this is happening, and we should know all about this happening. Like, they don't know any of that stuff, and neither should we as new viewers of the show. So they're playing that role, and that's why they're kind of boring to me, right? I mean, if they went there knowing all the stuff they did, kind of like the doctor who's inside and knows the backstory of the character that he would introduce the first name, and he kind of pretty much knew the rest, so he knows a lot about what's going on, unlike the characters that are inside here that have the power to fight. I just look forward to seeing what they're going to do with all those two characters, if they're going to give them some powerful story development and character development, or if they're really just going to bet on all the side characters like they already are, with their personalities being the true thing, shining very brightly through this whole entire show. But with all that being said, I got one more video I want to drop for sure today, so I'm going to get that out to you guys with this one. So with all that being said, have an amazing day, night, evening, whatever the case may be. I am to you soon. So with that, peace.